You're looking at my top 10 super rookie wide receiver rankings. What are my super rookie wide receiver rankings, you ask? A ranking type that I've coined on sleeperu.com is basically taking the incoming rookie class and ranking them only against last year's rookie class. So it's the sophomores versus the rookies. I think A.J. Brown and DK Metcalf as your number one and number two wide receiver could rival anybody's number one and number two wide receiver in fantasy football. It's one of the most sought after rankings on sleeperu.com because I think it lets you drill into a dynasty mindset a little differently. So let's break it down. My top 10 super rookie wide receivers. Top 5 running back. You're watching the Fantasy Football Show.
Smitty.
Take a lap. A.J. Brown had 52 receptions for 1051 and 8 TDs in 2019. That's his rookie campaign. And I love when people come at me and say,
Smitty, what if people figure him out? Smitty, he's not going to get a lot of volume. They are run heavy in Tennessee.
I love that people judge him off of his rookie year, and I love when people try and pigeonhole him into about 50 to 55 receptions as a ceiling when he did that as a rookie. Do people not realize that rookie wide receivers rarely have 1051 through the air and 8 TDs? It is a very uncommon thing for a rookie to develop this quickly. And more importantly, a lot of what I do is driven off bold predictions, off gut instinct, but I incorporate a ton of stats, a ton of historical data, a lot of injury concern and coaching situational type things. I'm not just a fly by the seat of my pants. Oh, I'm going to go bold and swing for the fences. I am very calculated with what I do, but my gut instinct is about 50% of my evaluation process, and I have not had a gut instinct as deep as this one in a long time. A.J. Brown and Clyde Edwards-Helaire are my two deep in my gut, in my soul predictions for 2020, and I can feel a top 5 to 7 wide receiver coming for A.J. Brown in 2020. I had a chance to go on a live with A.J. Brown last night. It was on his live. He didn't publish it or post it, so the video is gone, unfortunately. But Ryan, one of the followers here at the Fantasy Football Show, grabbed a screenshot. Thank you, Ryan, for that. And I told A.J. Brown, I flat out said, A.J., you're going to be a top 5 wide receiver in 2020. And it was kind of awkward because I felt like I knew it and he didn't quite know it yet. But that's okay, A.J. Brown. You do your thing. You focus on football. Let me do the predicting. A.J. Brown is bound to have 80 to 85 receptions in 2020, probably about 1,300 plus total yards, and give him 12 TDs or more. It's going to be top 5 to 7 material, and I think he's going to dance in that top 5 all year long. The guy is built like Calvin Johnson, even though he's, a couple inches shorter. He's as big pound for pound. He's as big as DK pound for pound if you were to shrink DK a couple inches. People forget that photo of DK flexing. The man next to him was A.J. Brown, and other than the height difference, they look almost identical in terms of how strong and built they are. A.J. Brown is going to shine at the next level. Now, I can't say this enough. You must draft A.J. Brown at the appropriate spot. Those people drafting A.J. Brown in round 2 because they hear me say he's a top 5 to 7 wide receiver, I have to tell you to
Take a lap. Take a lap.
use ADP to your advantage. In your grandma league with Bill from accounting, you could probably get A.J. Brown in the 4th or 5th round pretty easily. In a more experienced league, you're probably going to find that A.J. Brown is going to fall into that 3rd round range. I like A.J. Brown in the 3rd round if you have to take him there, but do your very best to use ADP to your advantage and grab A.J. Brown in the 4th round. It could be the difference between you winning your league because A.J. Brown outperforms his 3rd round value and dominating your league because A.J. Brown crushes everybody for you in that 4th round draft value slot. A.J. Brown, get him on your rosters and get ready for a dominating season. DK Metcalf is also headed into the elite in 2020. And when I was talking with A.J. Brown in the 4 to 5 minutes that we had this conversation, he managed to squeeze in.
Also draft DK Metcalf in 2020 fantasy football.
He had to add that, and he's not wrong. My favorite draft strategy in 2020 is to go running back, or running back Mahomes. So you're getting, let's say, Barkley and Mahomes. And then your number 1 and number 2 wide receiver are A.J. Brown and DK Metcalf. So if you had to take A.J. Brown in the 3rd round and DK in the 4th round, you have yourself 2 crafty wide receiver ones that nobody sees coming. I think A.J. Brown and DK Metcalf as your number 1 and number 2 wide receiver could rival anybody's number 1 and number 2 wide receiver in fantasy football. You're just going to look like you have a lesser group to start off, but once people catch on that A.J. Brown is a wide receiver 1 and DK Metcalf is at least a low-end wide receiver 1, people are going to see that you got value in the 3rd and 4th round better than anybody else in your draft. Imagine starting off with Barkley, Mahomes, A.J. Brown, and DK Metcalf. Or if Eckler or Drake should fall, Barkley, Drake. Barkley, Drake, A.J. Brown, DK Metcalf. Talk about winning your league. DK's looking at a double-digit touchdown season. His yardage is hard to predict, but I think, like with A.J. Brown, I love that people are judging him based on his rookie year. I love that people are predicting and pigeonholing him into what he did last year for the future years. It only makes it easier to dominate your fantasy football opponents in 2020. I realize some people are still team Lockett. I'm not saying Lockett can't be a good wide receiver, but DK feels like the wide receiver 1, the safe bet, the guy that's going to get you double-digit touchdowns in 2020. That's going to make him, by default, in that high-end wide receiver 2 category. So if he disappoints you in yardage and receptions, he'll probably still get you your 4th or 5th round value back with ease, even on a disappointing year. That's the definition of value. That's getting value at every turn in your draft, and that gives you a whole lot of potential and upside without any risk, because DK is going to get you, I think, at least that value back. Ceedee Lamb is my favorite rookie wide receiver, and he couldn't have landed in a better spot. I admit, at first, it took me like an hour to realize that this was actually the most ideal spot for him. Amari Cooper, he can
Vanish
with the snap of a finger, and I think he's the kind of wide receiver that gets in his own head. And I think that it's not going to take long for Ceedee Lamb to rip him from that wide receiver 1 spot and take over that role. Ceedee Lamb, in my opinion, could be a top 5 to 7 wide receiver in 2 years. So give him his full rookie year to get his feet wet and sprinkle in goodness throughout the entire season. He won't be a top 5 wide receiver as a rookie, but I think heading into his 2nd year, we'll be drafting Ceedee Lamb much like we are A.J. Brown and DK Metcalf this year. So he could be a 3rd round value. And I love Ceedee Lamb in the 4th round in Dynasty startups when people are afraid to make that move because it's more of a future type move. But you have to decide what kind of build you're going to do in Dynasty. Are you willing to take the gambles and have that future potential and grab the Hollywood Browns, who I'll mention in a second, to help make up the difference in between while Ceedee Lamb's developing? Is that the kind of build you want to do, or do you want to go straight for like a Deebo Samuel and let somebody else develop Ceedee Lamb? It's all preference. I myself love the upside, and I'm willing to take the risk in ranking Ceedee Lamb right here above the other sophomores and rookies when you combine them. Amari Cooper, I don't believe in. I believe in 1 calendar year, Amari Cooper owners are going to be extremely disappointed with the value that they're left holding. If you have Cooper, trade him high. I know he's a good wide receiver, but he's very dependent on situation and everything going well. He proved that in Oakland. He can vanish like that. I don't believe in the long term when it comes to Amari Cooper. The Ceedee Lamb show begins in 2020. Get your tickets now. They will sell out. Hollywood Brown will drop low-end wide receiver 1 numbers in 2020. I know that's going to be hard to absorb, but the guy is ultra quick. He's posting videos of his footwork drills on Instagram like every other hour. He's one of the hardest working wide receivers out there. And he's got an amazing quarterback in Lamar Jackson throwing him the football. And the fact that this offense has so many things for defenses to worry about, Lamar Jackson alone, Mark Ingram, J.K. Dobbins if he develops, and Mark Andrews, defenses will never, ever be able to go into a game saying,
let's double Hollywood, shut him down all game.
That will be the last thing on the mind of a defensive coordinator when you have all these other weapons around. That protects Hollywood Brown. Hollywood Brown will be dancing around with a hall pass all over the field in 2020. I think 70 plus receptions, double-digit touchdowns, and a whole grip of yardages in the cards for Hollywood Brown. He will be a wide receiver 1, or at least really close to it. You're talking about like the difference between number 9 and number 14 maybe being 15, 20 points. So even if he finishes outside the top 10, he will be that kind of wide receiver in 2020. And like with AJ Brown and DK, I can't stress enough, you have to draft these players at the appropriate draft slots. You have to use ADP to your advantage. Hollywood Brown has an ADP around the 6th or 7th round. Do not take him in the 4th round. When I see my own followers taking Hollywood in the 4th round, it makes me very, very upset. That's not what I taught you. Maximize your draft value. Don't reach for a player even if you're super excited. You only want to reach so far. You do not want to ruin the upside, and tip that scale from all upside to all risk. Jeudy is a wide receiver I have a tough time ranking this low, because had he landed in a better situation, I would have been so amped about his 2020 and future. Right now, I'm a little bit torn because I'm not a big believer in Locke. I'm not saying Locke is for sure a bust, but I'm going to take a wait and see approach with him. I think he could maybe by default do a lot of the same things that Winston did in Tampa Bay, where the numbers are just kind of there because the surrounding talent's there. But I don't know that I envision Locke being a long-term answer, and that worries me in terms of Jeudy. Sutton may never reach wide receiver 1 status like he could have maybe if Jeudy didn't land in Denver, but I think Jeudy is the wide receiver 1 here. I think he can develop into a top 10 wide receiver in fantasy football. It's just going to be a little bit of a wait and see for me before I start putting him ahead of guys I feel like are going to explode. So I love Jeudy. I love him at the right spot in Dynasty. I kind of like where you can buy him in Dynasty because people are ranking him ultra low. Comment below with where you got Jeudy or where you're seeing Jeudy ranked. Deebo Samuel is a tough player to rank lower than this because he's proven, but he's also a tough player to rank higher than this. He's kind of capped out because the Niners have Kittle, they have Ayuk, they run the ball a ton. There's only so much passing to go around, so it's hard to vault Deebo any higher than this, but I think he does earn this consideration around 6 overall, and he could be a low-end wide receiver 2 in fantasy. I just don't know that he'll ever climb higher than that in this environment. McLaurin I like. I could almost put McLaurin right here, and in fact I'll set him there for a second because McLaurin to me could be the next Steve Smith. The only downside here, the reason he's not climbing higher ahead of Jeudy and maybe even ahead of Brown, is because Haskins. We don't know what we have in Dwayne Haskins yet. I'm not going to write him off like so many are quick to, but I'm definitely like with Locke in a wait and see mode with Haskins, and I think that McLaurin's good enough to develop and survive regardless of the drama going on at the quarterback position and the change going on around him with the team. But I think if McLaurin does get consistency, if Haskins can develop into at least a really decent quarterback, McLaurin could be a top 10, top 12 wide receiver in fantasy football. He's that good. I love scary Terry McLaurin. Denzel Mims has the best catch radius out of all of these rookies, believe it or not, and I think he's probably set up to be maybe the highest producing rookie wide receiver in 2020 because the volume, because there's no one else to catch passes. The Jets could be behind in a lot of games in the 3rd and 4th quarter, and they could be throwing the ball a ton. I don't like Sam Darnold. I think if somehow the Jets find their way into a unknown star QB somehow, look what happened with Tannehill. Look how Tannehill emerged in Tennessee. Anything can happen. There are players hiding. Trades can happen. If Denzel Mims can get into a better quarterback situation, I think he's good enough to vault in this range. I really think Denzel Mims has what it takes to be an elite, not just good, an elite fantasy football wide receiver and NFL wide receiver. His situation will limit him a little bit early on, but by default, again, I think the volume will be there. He will be very, very good for a rookie. And for right now, I'm actually gonna, I'll put him, I'm re-ranking my own rankings right in front of you. I'm gonna put him up here for right now. You have my ranking in terms of the now. I think that it does go Deebo, Scary Terry, and Denzel Mims if you're looking at a dynasty perspective, but with more of a now spin. But I think if I'm ranking them based on what maybe the future holds, this would kind of be how I'd rank it. There are different ways to look at it, plain and simple. I think Justin Jefferson could be as high as, Jerry Jeudy on this list. He has the talent. I just want to see more from him. I want to see how he's going to be used before I start ranking him higher than these proven guys. Same thing with Ruggs. Ruggs has all the talent in the world. He's super athletic. I just want to see him a little bit more before I'm willing to rank him above a guy like Deebo, who I think is going to get you a certain guaranteed production. And Ruggs has probably more ceiling, but a little more risk. Justin Jefferson has more ceiling than Deebo and McLaurin maybe, but more risk. Here are the players that missed the cut. NKeal Harry, he looked fantastic at times near the end of the year. He was hurt all year, so when people say,
Smitty, you got that one wrong,
I have to ask you, are you willing to pull the plug that quickly? NKeal Harry has the potential to develop along Stidham. If Stidham is successful, I think it's a great situation for two young players, to mature and grow together. But Harry is dependent on that situation getting better and them wanting to use him. I don't know at this point whether New England's invested or not. If they are, Harry will develop. If they aren't, then I could be wrong on Harry, and it sucks because I think talent-wise, I'm not wrong. Situationally, that could be the crutch in my prediction. But give Harry a chance. He's a great and fine grab late in drafts, and he falls pretty far even in Dynasty startups. Reagor has potential. I know we got a lot of Pittman truthers. Pittman's got upside. Edwards is crafty. Higgins is going to be a little bit behind Burrow, so if you think Burrow is going to explode right away, then Higgins could have a pretty good finish to the year. I think Burrow, like any quarterback, is going to develop slowly, and by midseason, maybe Burrow's on fire, but Higgins will be a step behind him in the maturing process because he will be dependent on the maturity of Burrow. So I like Higgins in Dynasty. I like Higgins and Burrow together in Dynasty. That does it. That's my super rookie rankings. You can find those on sleeperu.com, and more of my bold predictions will be dropping each and every day. So get on over to sleeperu.com and get some. Subscribe to the Fantasy Football Show if you haven't already. And if you have not yet, join my Discord. Go to sleeperu.com/Discord. It's like a forum where you get direct access to me and to people that are crazy into fantasy football constantly year round. It's the best place to go. Hey, should I make this trade? Get some.